Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining me on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The 3 o'clock kickoff at the Emirates as Arsenal take on Brentford. The game has just got underway. Arsenal straight away on the attack. Run down the right-hand side. An attempted cross there from Cedric Soares is cleared back into midfield. But the Gunners will be looking to get some revenge on Brentford after that 2-0 humbling on the opening night, on that Friday night that started the season, with Brentford playing in front of their own fans in the new stadium, and the Bees, the newly promoted, really did enjoy that evening, beating a rather sorry Arsenal side by 2-0. But things have changed since then. Arsenal have made a couple of signings, including, of course, Aaron Ramsdale, who didn't play in that game at the Brentford Community Stadium. But straight away, once again, Arsenal trying to catch Brentford out with a long ball, looking for a Bukayo Saka. Ball now cleared back into midfielders. Not only has Arsenal's situation improved, Brentford certainly in the last 7 to 10 games have tailed off a little bit in terms of their attacking style, a little bit to open at the back as well. So this will be a big test for Thomas Frank's side, and certainly Mikel Arteta's men will regard themselves as strong favourites to take all 3 points. Plenty of games are going on at 3 o'clock this afternoon. No goals in the first few minutes across the Premier League, but one early result to tell you about. It's West Ham 1, Newcastle United 1. That was the early kickoff. But here comes Thomas Partey now, left-hand edge of the penalty area, finds Kieran Tierney. Tierney under pressure there from Canos, puts the ball in, which is quickly cleared away by Norgard. Back into midfield, kept alive here by Granit Xhaka. And the ball now played back towards the halfway line here for Gabriel. Visitors all in yellow today. Brentford, their change strip. Just to remind you of the two teams very quickly. Arsenal have Aaron Ramsdale in goal. A back four of Cedric Soares, Ben White, Gabriel and Kieran Tierney. The three in midfield are Martin Odegaard, Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka, with Bukayo Saka, Emile Smith-Rowe and Alexandre Lacazette as the three up front for Brentford. It is David Raya in goal. A back three of Christopher Ajer, Pontus Jansson and Ethan Pinnock. Sergi Canos and Rico Henry are the two wide men, with Matthias Jensen, Christian Norgard and Josh De Silva as the three in midfield, with Brian Mbeumo and Johan Visser, the two up front for the Bees. Still a slight injury niggle for Ivan Toney. He couldn't start the game this afternoon, and although Christian Eriksen is training with Brentford now and did play a behind closed doors friendly against Southend United earlier this week, and from all accounts played well, had an assist in that game. The Brentford coaching staff, Thomas Frank, just deciding that he needs a little bit more time just to get his match sharpness back. I'm hoping that Eriksen will be making his debut for Brentford against Newcastle next weekend. But meanwhile, Arsenal have won themselves a corner on the right-hand side. It is going to be a left-footed in-swinger from Saka, aimed at the near post. It's a bit of a scramble before it's hoisted up in the air by Matthias Jensen, still fighting for it at the edge of the box. Saka keeps the ball alive here for Arsenal, gets a bit of space as well, tries to put another cross into the penalty area, headed down by Gabriel, but there was nobody in an Arsenal shirt close enough to try and upset David Raya, and the Bees keeper makes a comfortable save in the end. But a good prognosis really of what we're going to be seeing, I think, throughout the 90 minutes today, with Arsenal seeing a lot of the ball and Brentford doing their best to try and soak up the pressure. There was just a little bit of a head tennis after that corner kick was whipped in. It looked a little bit unsteady for Brentford at one stage, but they were able to get the ball away eventually. It's Matthias Jensen now with a long ball over the top, looking for the run of Sergi Canos down the right-hand side. Tierney is there, and he hooks it out for a throw, but that's a good ball in the end. From a midfield there from Jensen, because it put a lot of pressure there on Tierney. Hooks the ball out straight away, and it will be a throw to Brentford, but it's level now with the Arsenal penalty area. So a good chance to try and get players into the box. There have been some late postponements as well due to the weather across the Football League. Nothing affected in the Premier League. We'll run you through those games in just a moment. We'll see this attack from Brentford first. It's a long throw from Ethan Pinnock. Doesn't quite get through to Christopher Ajer. Drops to Jensen, who puts a long ball back into the penalty area. Mbeumo takes it down. Visser tries a shot from distance. It loops off the head of Ben White, but it doesn't go out for a corner. Plenty of time for Aaron Ramsdale to get underneath that and make a comfortable save. So Blackburn against Millwall has been postponed in the Championship. Crewe against Portsmouth, Fleetwood against Lincoln, and Shrewsbury against Morecambe have been postponed in League 1. And in League 2, Exeter against Barrow, and Harrogate against Leyton Orient, Salford against Crawley. Those are the three matches that have been postponed. I must admit that those Barrow fans expected to make the trip to Exeter today probably were quite relieved, considering the weather conditions across the country. That really is a long away trip, isn't it? Barrow Inverness all the way down to Exeter. But getting back to action here at the Emirates, 5 minutes gone. It's Arsenal back on the attack down the left-hand side. Across coming in from Odegaard is quickly cleared back into midfield. De Silva forced to go back into his own box to keep possession here for Brentford. He goes back to Raya, who now clears it long up towards the halfway line, headed down by Gabriel. There's a fight for it in midfield, but in the battle of the two Scandinavian players there, Norgard and Odegaard, it is Norgard that gets there first, and he puts the ball out to Visser down the right-hand side. Visser at the edge of the area, now to Canos, who lifts the ball in, and that almost ended up being a shot there from Sergi Canos. Just loops over the bar, and Visser, I'm not sure what he's complaining about. Is he upset that cross didn't find a teammate, or does he feel that it might have got a touch off the Arsenal man? It's good work here from Visser to get into that position. Looks up and sees Mbuemo just in an offside position, so he holds it up, leaves it for Canos. And I think Canos is shooting there, just doesn't quite get the angles right. And in the end, it loops away from Aaron Ramsdale's goal. But to the Arsenal keeper, having to watch that all the way to the end. In the end, able to see that it was going out for a goal kick. Now, a long ball played up towards the edge of the Brentford penalty area. Smith Rowe was there, but Christopher Ayer gets there first. Former Celtic man puts that out for a throw to be taken by Kieran Tierney here for Arsenal, also a former Celtic man. So finally bedded down in this Arsenal team, you could say, arrived at the Emirates with a few injury problems, but it's become more of a first-team regular in the last 10 or 12 games now, Kieran Tierney. And it's his throw back towards Thomas Partey. Now it's with Ben White over to Cedric. From a Southampton man, now finds Bukayo Saka. Ahead of him is Odegaard. Saka goes on the overlap. Odegaard tries to find him. It's a really good ball from Odegaard. Cuts it back towards Lacazette. Two Brentford players fling themselves at it. There's an injury problem there for Christopher Ayer. And Matthias Jensen had the chance to put the ball out of play. Didn't do so. Ayer's picked himself up, but he's hobbling as he does so. And the Gunners keep the ball in play here now with Gabriel just by the centre circle. He leaves it for Granit Xhaka, quickly over towards Odegaard on the right-hand side. Odegaard to Saka, now over to Cedric, who right-hand edge of the penalty area. His cross comes off the back of Rico Henry. It's still bouncing inside the penalty area. Lacazette goes down. Referee not interested. Saka tries an effort, hits the side netting, and it's away for a goal kick. But we'll see if everything is okay with Lacazette. It seems to be a right thigh problem here for the Arsenal man. Just a little bit of a collision there inside the Brentford penalty area. Wait to see from this replay. I mean, it's one of those where Jansen's just sort of guiding Lacazette away from the ball, and then he runs straight into Ethan Pinnock. And it's when he hits the deck. I mean, he doesn't seem to have any leg injury there as he collides with Pinnock. But moments later, he's down on the ground holding his right leg. Seems that everything is fine with the Arsenal captain now. Should be okay to play on. Mikel Arteta just trying to get some instructions out to his players. Arsenal's form, certainly in the last 5 or 6 games, has tailed off after an excellent period throughout December, well, sort of middle of December into late January. Arsenal looking very strong. Capped off with that 5-0 win away at Norwich City. This December, I should say, but then they started January with that defeat against Manchester City, then that defeat against Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup, 0-0 draw with Liverpool before the second leg, where they lost 2-0 in the Carabao Cup. And then their last game at home was that very disappointing 0-0 draw at home to Burnley, as Thomas Partey almost gives the ball away in midfield. Gets away with that, really. Just De Silva couldn't quite get on it quickly enough. And here comes Smith Rowe now for Arsenal. Down the left-hand side. He has to check his run and goes back towards Kieran Tierney. Tierney now to Smith Rowe. Options left and right for him. Goes square to Thomas Partey. And now Gabriel over to Odegaard on the right-hand side. Odegaard threads the ball into the penalty area to find Lacazette. It's a tight angle. Lacazette tries to get a shot away. Pontus Jansson slides in. One captain blocking another there. And the ball is out for a corner kick to Arsenal, which in recent times has meant bad news for Brentford. They've been quite disorganised, really, when it comes to some of their set pieces, conceding quite a few goals from corner kicks. And straight away, David Raya trying to find himself a bit of space inside that 6-yard box. As Bukayo Saka stands by the corner, trying to get this ball into a teammate. Again, aiming at the edge of the 6-yard box. It's over the head of everyone. Aya leaves that one. Odegaard will chase it, and Odegaard will keep it in play. Aya gave up far too easily, saying that one's going out for a goal kick. The ball played back to Tierney. His cross goes in towards Saka. Josh Da Silva puts a challenge in. An Arsenal man is down, but no free kick given. Saka's effort gets a deflection. There's a fight for it inside the 6-yard box before finally Raya dives on it. A couple of Arsenal players are furious here. I'm not sure what they're unhappy about, whether it was to do with a handball or to do with a foul inside the penalty area, or maybe they were unhappy that perhaps it was a back pass to David Raya. But in any case, referee John Moss doesn't give any of those decisions. It's just the ball in play now for Brentford, with Pinnock to Nørgaard. Mathias Jensen now feeding a ball down the left here for Rico Henry. That one's cut out though by Ben White, and now it's with Bukayo Saka to Odegaard. Back to Xhaka. Xhaka just turns away from Johan Visser, keeping Arsenal in possession. Still goalless across all the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League this afternoon, and there are quite a few of them, with just 2 games being played tomorrow, nothing on Friday, nothing on Monday. So 8 Premier League games throughout today, 6 being played at 3 p.m. But here come Brentford now with Da Silva finding Mbeumo, and Mbeumo breaks into the box. Too many step overs, loses the ball far too easily, and now Brentford have pushed too many players forward. And here come Arsenal down the right hand side with Martin Odegaard. Gets the ball towards Bukayo Saka, right hand edge of the penalty area. Saka with options. Lacazette is waiting, as is Smith Rowe. He turns, wanted to get a shot away, sends it square, and there is Lacazette to finish from close range. The flag is up. And that is a let-off for Brentford, because that was very good, patient build-up there from Arsenal, after Brentford themselves had half a chance at the other end, with Mbeumo just taking too long to get a shot away. When Saka gets this ball on the right-hand side, he has options. It's a good ball to find Smith Rowe. He does really well to find Tierney. I'll tell you what, Lacazette isn't offside by much. It may well be that VAR wants to just double-check this again. But earlier we saw Ben White being brought down by Josh Da Silva. That's what Arsenal were unhappy about in the previous passage of play. It was White that hit the deck. And I'll tell you what, Da Silva didn't get too much of the ball there. And then potentially a challenge there from Aya on Lacazette could have also resulted in a penalty. So the VAR officials seemingly been quite busy. I'll tell you what, the way Aya slides in on Lacazette there, I'm not sure he gets any of the ball at all. But obviously that was a good couple of minutes ago now. VAR would have had a chance to check all of that over. And right now we're not restarting players yet, but I'm not sure if this is to do with a VAR check, or no, it is to do with a VAR check. They're just taking a little bit longer to confirm that Lacazette was in an offside position. And the ball now back in play. 13 minutes gone. Independent off-tube studio commentary. Arsenal 0, Brentford 0, and the other game is at 3 o'clock. 0-0 between Villa and Watford. As indeed Brighton, Burnley, Palace, Chelsea, Norwich against Liverpool, and Southampton against Everton. Just a small matter of Man City against Spurs coming up on this service at 5:30 this evening. And 2 further Premier League games tomorrow, with Leeds United against Manchester United at 2, and then Wolves against Leicester at 4:30. Here come the Gunners again now with Martin Odegaard. He easily skips away from Mathias Jensen. Then rolls the ball out towards Cedric Soares, back in towards Odegaard. Left-footed cross towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Good header away by Aya, but Canos thought about it, but he's not going to get there in time to keep that in place. So it will be a throw to Arsenal down the left-hand side. It's Kieran Tierney waiting with the ball, just throws it in towards Xhaka. Back to Tierney. Xhaka now inside towards Smith Rowe. And back towards Gabriel. Square to Cedric, in a more central position this time, out to Saka on the right wing. Odegaard is there for support, but he goes back towards Cedric Soares. Now Odegaard, Arsenal already enjoying the lion's share of possession in these first 15 minutes. Ball now played back towards Odegaard, under a bit of pressure here from Johan Visser, who's so far being more useful as a midfielder than an attacker for Brentford, really. Had too much of a chance to get forward, but now Thomas Partey potentially could have given a free kick away there for colliding at the edge of the Brentford penalty area with Johan Visser. The Bees number 11 just needs a moment or two to pick himself up. The Arsenal bench this afternoon, and Nuno Tavares, Giroud, Hutchison, Holding, Tomiyasu and Ketia, El Neni, Pepe, Lokonga and goalkeeper Leno. Strong bench for the Gunners this afternoon. It's Onyeka, Stevens, Roslev, Sorensen, Baptiste, Godos, Young Coombs, Janelt and Alvaro Fernandez on the bench for Brentford this afternoon. And Gabriel Martinelli still suspended. Brentford still missing Zanka Jorgensen. This would have been a big addition to this Brentford defence if he was fit. He's been out injured for some time now. As I mentioned earlier, Christian Eriksen still not quite fit enough to be even on the bench this afternoon. There might be some good management involved in that, in so much that he is, of course, a former Tottenham man, a very popular Tottenham player he was, Christian Eriksen. So it certainly would have been quite a baptism of fire to turn up at the Emirates and either be a substitute and get all kinds of, I'm sure that after what's happened last summer, he'd they'd certainly toned down some of the welcoming comments that they would have thrown at an ex-Tottenham player. But I think it's more to do with the fitness as well. Eriksen just not quite ready to be in the squad as yet. But in any case, I don't think he would have been much use to Brentford so far in this game, because it's defenders and defensive midfielders that the Bees need here. Arsenal enjoying so much of the ball, and they're off again down the right-hand side now with Saka inside to Odegaard. Odegaard now finds Cedric down the right-hand side. Left-footed crossing from the Portuguese, finds the head of Lacazette. But he was straining to get at that. He had his back to goal. And it was always going to be very difficult to get a header on target from that sort of range, that sort of position. And it's away for a goal kick to Brentford. So we can see it's quite large travelling support from Brentford today. Of course, not the longest trip for West London to North London. So the Bees certainly looking for an upturn in form. Their last win in the league came against Aston Villa. That was on the 2nd of January. They then beat Port Vale in the FA Cup 4-1, and they've had nothing but defeats since then, including a 4-1 reverse against Everton in the FA Cup until that 0-0 draw against Crystal Palace last weekend. It was important for them to break that run of defeats, albeit it never really looked like winning that game. A couple of questionable decisions in there, including that handball from Guehi. But that said, I think probably a draw was about the fair result in that game. As I mentioned, Brentford's next 2 games, in fact, Brentford's next 3 games, absolutely crucial. They're at home to Newcastle, then they travel to Norwich, and then they're at home to Burnley. So if the Bees could pick up, say, 6 points out of those 9 potential points there, that would be a big step towards trying to secure Premier League survival. Arsenal, for their part, they're at home to Wolves next Thursday. We'll then be playing against Watford away before a game against Leicester City, and then on the 16th of March they have a game at home to Liverpool in the Premier League as well. It should be a fascinating encounter. But back to the action here. 82% possession for Arsenal so far in these first 19 minutes, and on one occasion really where goalkeeper Ramsdale's had to watch a cross just loop over his crossbar. No other work from other than that really. Here come Brentford now down the right-hand side. De Silva can't get on the end of that, though. That's headed out by Gabriel. There will be a throw to Brentford. So you can see the ease with which Arsenal are moving the ball around. Brentford are sort of stuck a little bit as to whether they should be pressing high up the field or potentially trying to sit deep. But both of those options have got good and bad sides to them. I think from Brentford's point of view, got to try and disrupt Arsenal's possession as much as they can. As a long ball goes down the right-hand side here for Brian Mbeumo. He does well to hold this up, and having to go back towards Christopher Ayer. This is still down the right-hand side. Ayer now to Mbeumo. De Silva goes on the overlap, puts a ball in for Ayer. Ayer at the edge of the 6-yard box, looking for Johan Vissa. It's good covering though from Thomas Partey. And Arsenal can now break out as Lacazette had dropped a bit deeper. He leaves the ball for Tierney. Tierney though under pressure. Doesn't fancy that. Goes back towards Gabriel. And then he plays it back towards Aaron Ramsdale. Now to Cedric, who just overplayed that slightly. Just about keeps the ball there and finds Odegaard. But then he gives it away straight to Ethan Pinnock, although Pinnock only has one touch of the ball before Arsenal have it straight back again. Now it's a long ball over the top from Ben White. That's not a pass, that's more of a clearance from the former Brighton man, really. That goes straight through towards David Raya. Long clearance from Raya now up towards the halfway line, taken down by Tierney. Ball drops towards Granit Xhaka. His pass deflects off Matthias Jensen straight into the path of Bukayo Saka. Odegaard back to Saka inside the 6-yard box. That's good covering though from Rico Henry. Gets a foot in there, and that is away for a Arsenal corner kick down the right-hand side. But again, just too much space there. I mean, Jensen needs to do better if he's going to come tracking back. He ended up laying the ball off to an opposition player before Rico Henry covering inside his own 6-yard box. Stops the run, and it's away for a corner kick. Meanwhile, Martin, we're just seeing John Moss asking the corner kick not to be taken as yet, because Christian Norgard was just down on the ground momentarily. Arsenal will have their third corner kick of the game now. Referee just doing a bit of housekeeping inside that 6-yard box. Pontus Jansson and Martin Odegaard there. The Swede and the Norwegian getting into a bit of a pushing match there. Referee John Moss just trying to defuse the situation. We finally have a goal in the Premier League this afternoon in the 3 p.m. kickoffs. It's a goal for Burnley away at Brighton. Just waiting for a confirmation of the goal scorer there, but it is Brighton 0, Burnley 1 on 22 minutes in that game. Now we're going to see this corner kick for Arsenal. It's Saka standing over it, puts it towards the edge of the 6-yard box, headed up in the air by Janssen, and a second header there from Visser, who may have been caught as he was trying to head that ball away. In any case, he does leave the penalty area, but Arsenal still keep it alive inside the Brentford half. Cedric now going back towards Xhaka. His pass crashes straight into Mbeumo, who took that in the face. I think he's still a little bit groggy. There is Mbeumo. In the meantime, Thomas Partey gets to the edge of the area, but right-footed strike from the Arsenal midfielder goes a long way wide. In danger of beating Raya with that shot, and it's away for a goal kick. It's Wout Weghorst, by the way, 29-year-old Dutch striker that has given Burnley the lead away at Brighton, which is certainly a scoreline that the Brentford will be listening out for, considering that Burnley are one of those teams that could pick up some form and potentially drag teams like Brentford into the relegation scrap. As it stands, Brentford are 7 points clear of the relegation zone, but all the sides in the relegation zone have at least one, if not two, if not three games in hand on the beast. So the job of staying in the Premier League is far from done here for Brentford. At one stage of this season, it looked as though they were going to be sort of comfortably in lower mid-table, but now they are getting dragged into relegation battle just by the fact they've lost so many of their games in the last 2 months. Trying to get on the attack now, but they haven't really been able to upset Arsenal at all, who themselves, of course, had that poor start to the season. But now in a great position, they'll be trying to get the 3 points today, especially when they would have seen West Ham dropping points at home to Newcastle in an earlier game today. Of course, Manchester United travel to Ellen Road tomorrow, where Rangnick's side will feel they're strong favourites, but against the Leeds side, whose fans have been dying for that home game against Manchester United. Well, it's probably the first game they were looking out for when they got promoted 2 years ago. Albeit missed out on having the game in front of fans last season, so this will be a big game at Ellen Road tomorrow, and that will be a big test for Manchester United as well, as indeed it would for Leeds, who themselves need to pick up a couple of wins just to give themselves a bit more breathing space from the relegation zone. Ball now back with Aaron Ramsdale, who miscues clearance. That goes straight through to Canos, although he's still 40 yards away from goal, and under pressure Canos goes back to De Silva anyway. So Brentford thinking safety first to start with. Just holding the ball up in midfield here now with Pinnock over towards Rico Henry. And Henry looks up, doesn't see any options, so decides to head back towards David Raya. Now out to Pontus Jansson. To David Raya, Lacazette and Saka are there just to hurry them along. But now it's with Vissers, drops a bit deeper, goes back to Jensen. That's a poor ball from Matthias Jensen, gives that straight away to Xhaka. Xhaka finds Lacazette at the edge of the area. Lacazette trying an early effort. Perhaps it was the wrong option there from the Arsenal captain. Did have an overlapping run from Smith Rowe down the left-hand side. Could have tried to perhaps pick out his teammate there, but Matthias Jensen, certainly if you listen to some Brentford fans, they would argue that perhaps he's been one of the most problematic players for Brentford this season. Absolute fans' favourite and a nailed-on starter for Brentford in their promotion to the Premier League, but just hasn't really delivered the sort of performances so far. Of course, it's a huge step up, but even so, compared to someone like his fellow countryman and fellow midfielder Christian Norgard, I think Jensen does stand out as being just a little bit below his the level you could expect from him this season. Interested to hear an interview with Thomas Partey, the Arsenal central midfielder, who actually rated his performances before the start of this season as not really being good enough. He felt as though he needs to show more in an Arsenal shirt, but certainly over the past 2 months or so, Mikel Arteta has been giving Partey his chance, and by and large he has been taking that chance as well. As a long ball from Gabriel doesn't get through to Smith Rowe, just a little bit too much on that one. Going to Brentford now down the right hand side. Christopher Ajer waiting to restart play. Just hanging on, looking for an option, tries a long throw. That one's headed away by Tierney. Ball drops straight back to Ajer, who hooks it up in the air. The ball now drops to Cedric Soares. Long ball from him towards the edge of the penalty area. Ball just gets away from Smith Rowe, but it will be kept in play by Tierney. Tries a quick step over there to get away from Canos. He does get away from Canos. The ball flicks off Sergi Canos and trickles out for a corner kick. The Arsenal players, both Smith Rowe and Tierney, just allowed that to happen. I thought a set piece would be the better option for them. He can now send the big men into the box, including Ben White and Gabriel. Both of them are inside the Brentford penalty area now. 27 minutes gone. Independent off-tube studio commentary, and it is goalless between Arsenal and Brentford to the Emirates Stadium. Goalless everywhere across the Premier League so far in the 3 o'clock kickoffs, barring that goal from Weghorst, giving Burnley a lead at Brighton. A corner kick from Cedric, headed away towards the edge of the area, chased down here by Ajer, who then, what on earth was that from Christopher Ajer? He could have volleyed the ball straight down the middle of the field to give Mbeumo something to run on. It miscued that. It went from being a pass from Ajer to just being a clearance, and it goes out for a throw to Arsenal round about the halfway line on the right hand side as the Gunners look. But that's a real let off for the Gunners. I think Brentford could have potentially had at least half a counter attacking chance there. And the ball now back with Ben White. Goes back towards Ramsdale. Ramsdale under a bit of pressure. White wading through a couple of Brentford players. They're trying to stop him. Looks very comfortable on the ball, Ben White. Now it's with Smith Rowe down the left, getting towards the edge of the Brentford penalty area. Has got an overlap from Tierney. That's where the ball has gone. Tierney with the cross. That's a good challenge, though, from Sergi Canos. He needs to improve the defensive side of his game. He did well there to stop that cross from Tierney. It is now another corner kick to the Gunners. Chance here to try and get players into the box. So far these corners haven't caused too many problems here for the Brentford defence. It's Cedric Soares from the left hand side looking to try and whip in an in-swinger. Plenty of players in front of David Raya. It's a good header though from Pontus Jansson. A really good strong header outside the penalty area. There's Smith Rowe back over towards Cedric on the left hand side, being closed down here by Josh Da Silva. And Cedric in the end playing the ball all the way back towards goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale. Holds this ball up and then clears that one over the top, looking for the run of Smith Rowe. Good header away by Ethan Pinnock, but Xhaka keeps this ball alive for Arsenal. Back now to Thomas Partey. Odegaard now, edge of the penalty area, cuts it onto his favoured left, gets a shot away, and that takes a slight nick off one of the Brentford players, and it's away for another corner. Raya was diving across. See that strike there from Odegaard. Had a couple of options and the ball just takes a deflection. Raya could actually see that he wasn't going to need to make a save after that deflection because it was going wide. But it's another corner kick to Arsenal. Outswinger this time. Smith Rowe from the right hand side, aimed at the edge of the 6-yard box. Thomas Partey was the intended target. Just gets away from him, but Saka keeps it alive on the left hand side. His cross comes in. Raya comes out and takes out his own captain there. Raya with a flying punch straight into Pontus Jansson. And the Bees captain's going to need a minute here just to be able to even see if he can even stand up. He looks like he's in a bit of pain there. May just be a little bit dazed after that collision. Flying David Raya just appeared from nowhere. and took out his own teammate there. I thought there was enough space there for Raya to think about a catch, but in the end it's a good job he didn't try to catch it, because made a bit of a mess of the punch. A catch could have been even more difficult there for the Bees number one. So we're going to need a minute or two here for Pontus Jansson to be checked over. And so far they are checking the neck, they're checking the head, so this potentially could be a concussion. Mikel Arteta just using this moment to just have a quick word with one of his assistants as well. He'll be very pleased with the amount of possession his side have had, but really, Arsenal haven't looked that close to actually beating David Raya. For the 7 shots they've had on goal so far, the Gunners have got 1 of them on target. So certainly that could improve. It needs to improve if they're going to take this game, probably take this game by the scruff of the neck. Referee just explaining to Pontus Jansson that he needs to leave the field for a moment, but I think play was stopped as soon as that ball was cleared away from the penalty area. So now seeing the Brentford captain slowly walking off the field. And the wait to see, is this going to be a drop ball for giving back to Arsenal on the halfway line, or is this going to be a drop ball where Arsenal are expected to give it back to Brentford? I'm not entirely sure. I think it is just going to be a drop ball with the referee just asking Mbeumo to step away. I think that it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, the rules on drop balls have changed. You'd think that professional footballers would know them, but it seems like every single game the referee's having to explain, no, look, you're not allowed to fight for this. I'm going to leave this ball for Arsenal, who don't give the ball back. I don't think they needed to, really, because the ball wasn't put out by Brentford. The play was stopped because of the head injury. Jansson, by the way, is back on the field. Arsenal back in play here down the right-hand side with Odegaard. His pass deflects into the path of Cedric Soares, whose cross finds Lacazette. Very tight angle inside the 6-yard box. It's going to be another corner kick here for Arsenal. Lacazette managed to find some space inside the penalty area, but the angles were very tight. It was a good touch to initially get away from Jansson, but in doing so gave himself very little space to work with. And the ball now out for a corner kick to Arsenal down the right-hand side. Saka stands over this one, sends it towards the back post. Christopher Ayer is there, and he heads it out for another corner. Ayer complaining to the referee there were all sorts of pushing and shoving there that John Moss should have spotted. But it's going to be a corner kick now from the left-hand side. Cedric standing over this one. Wait to see what options he has. Looks like he's going to be trying to whip this in first time. I think there is anyone there for the short ball, and it is straight in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, headed away by De Silva. Then an attempt at volley towards goal from Saka, and that one's easily dealt with by Christopher Raya, cleared up towards the halfway line. Odegaard now leaves it for Tierney. Tierney to Xhaka. This is all inside the centre circle now for Arsenal. White over to Odegaard. Odegaard then under pressure from Visser, goes square to Partey. Meanwhile, Odegaard carried on his run, almost got to the end of that ball as it was played back to him. Just trying to play it first time to Lacazette, was stood a couple of yards away. Ball is quickly cleared and out for a throw to Arsenal down the right-hand side. And it's with Cedric now looking to see where he could try and get this ball. Thomas Frank was that keen to lean out of his technical area to get an instruction to one of his players. He was actually stopping Cedric Soares from taking the throw. So that's just one of those little eccentricities that you would expect from the Bees manager. Meanwhile, Arsenal are going forward here now with Tierney to Xhaka. Xhaka's ball into the box. Just a little bit of miscommunication there between him and Saka. It was a worry for a commentator when Xhaka and Saka are passing the ball to each other. But on that occasion, Saka just couldn't quite get on the end of the Swiss's pass. Now here comes Rico Henry. He gets away from Cedric, then runs straight into the Portuguese. And I'm not sure if that has been given as a foul or not, but certainly Rico Henry felt as though it shouldn't have been a free kick. Ball now played towards Thomas Partey. He goes back towards goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale. Tierney now down the left-hand side. Finds Partey into Xhaka now. Xhaka slips but still manages to keep control of the ball. Plays it back to Tierney. Tierney now to the right-hand side here for Cedric. Saka in towards Thomas Partey. Now switches play over towards the left-hand side. Looks at Xhaka. Xhaka inside now towards... we looked for the run of Kieran Tierney, but that's good play in the end from Pontus Jansson, making sure that goes out of the Brentford penalty here, but it's coming straight back here now with Partey going square towards Saka. This is at the edge of the area now, along with Odegaard. Saka back in now towards Gabriel. Gabriel over towards Granit Xhaka now. One touch here between Odegaard and Lacazette. Lacazette trying to get a shot away. No, he tries to thread a ball back towards Odegaard. There's too many Brentford shirts in the way, but then that's poor from Mbeumo. He got one pass there from Aya, miscontrolled it, and Arsenal have a possession back straight away. That's what Brentford have to avoid. They're seeing precious little of the ball right now, and if they're going to give it away that easily, it's going to be even more straightforward here for Arsenal, you would feel, to eventually, just by sheer weight of possession, build up enough to try and get this first goal. Down the left-hand side, but couldn't see any option to find Kieran Tierney, so he goes back towards the halfway line. Now Ben White finds Cedric down the right-hand side. Odegaard in towards Saka. Saka finds Thomas Partey. Smith Rowe controls a pass, which I think Partey had intended for Tierney, but it reaches Tierney now, puts a cross in just over the head of Odegaard. A second effort coming in from Ben White, who would join the attack on this occasion. He puts a shot in from just outside the penalty area, but the ball in the end is with David Raya. He's complaining there might have been an offside when this shot was taken. I don't think there was. I think if Ben White had scored with that effort from just outside the box, VAR would have looked at it, but certainly from that one replay we just saw there, tells me that I think everything would have been fine with that from Arsenal's point of view. And they're coming straight back here with Smith Rowe down the left. De Silva doing what he can to stop that going out, to make sure it goes out for a goal kick, but he just didn't have the legs on it. And now it's with Lacazette back towards Tierney. Tierney's cross just gets away from Saka, but it drops to Cedric. His strike is charged down by Johan Visser, and Cedric is furious that it's a handball. I must admit, looking at it live, because Visser was sliding in, seemed to me that unless he's deliberately put his arms up, it'd be a bit harsh to say that, well, he's facing away from it. Does strike him on the elbow. So, as I say, in the olden days of anything hitting any part of the arm, and you almost assume it's going to be given as a penalty, then potentially you could have thought, yeah, he is a bit unlucky, but you can see why the penalty's been given. Now, I'm not so sure. Don't think the VAR officials are going to be too concerned about this. I think he wants to just get a bit of order in the box now, the referee, John Moss, and he's doing so by calling the two captains over. Lacazette and Pontus Jansson. I think we're going to finally see this corner kick for Arsenal. With VAR were checking, they've obviously confirmed now that there was no handball, or certainly not the sort of handball that they would class as having to overturn the referee's decision. The corner kick comes in. It's at the edge of the 6-yard box, headed away. It drops to Smith Rowe. His effort is quickly swept away by Josh De Silva. And here come Arsenal now down the right-hand side with Odegaard. He puts a cross in, up in the air now by Ethan Pinnock. Trying to get underneath the second ball. It deflects into the path of Rico Henry, who's passed down the middle. It's not really a pass, it's more of a clearance, really. And Mbeumo not able to do anything with that one. And now it's with Cedric again on the halfway line. Moves back to Tierney. Gabriel. Inside now to Kieran Tierney. Arsenal really have just slowed things down in the last couple of minutes, but still making sure that they have the most possession as possible, just to make it virtually impossible for Brentford to do anything at the other end. Here is Lacazette now down the right-hand side. We have a second goal at the Amex, but it's not an equaliser. It's Brighton 0, Burnley 2. So we'll let you know of the score momentarily, but in the meantime, it's Arsenal going forward now with Tierney down the left-hand side. Tierney on the overlap now, looking for Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe's cross is charged down. And back into midfield again. Smith Rowe gets another chance. Puts another cross in. Raya this time comes out and makes a very comfortable save. And also, what's looking like a comfortable lead now to the Amex for Burnley. Sean Dyche's side now lead by 2-0 after a goal from Josh Brownhill. So they caused on 21 and Brownhill on 40. They've taken all the goals so far across the 3 o'clock Premier League kickoffs. Everywhere else is goalless so far. And you can see now one of the Brentford coaches getting quite animated there. So we are going to be seeing a B substitution, potentially maybe even before half time. Back with Ramsdale. It wasn't the best clearance, a bit low, but it still reached his target, which was Xhaka. He then plays into Lacazette, edge of the area. Lacazette just tries to play it square, and he does find Saka. Saka gets a shot away. That one flicks off the chest of Matthias Jensen. Doesn't stop the Arsenal players asking the question about a potential spot kick. Now it's with Smith Rowe to go back towards Cedric. Cross headed away back into midfield. Chances this ball goes through. Doesn't quite find Odegaard though. Now Arsenal have it back again on the right hand side with Bukayo Saka into Odegaard. Now it's with Cedric. Cedric's ball though easily cleared by Christopher. You've got to say that Brentford's organisation and defence, barring a few moments where they've just been a little bit too open, they have actually been very well organised, made it difficult for Arsenal to just move from A to B. The only problem is that they're not really stopping Arsenal from having the possession, and that just means that by sheer weight, Arsenal at some stage should be creating more chances. There's a problem here for Brentford. That's why we saw a sub being ready. There's Vitaly Janelt, the defensive midfielder. Looks like he'll be coming on for Matthias Jensen. Jensen just hasn't been able to shake off that earlier knock that he suffered. He's up on his feet now, but he needed to do it in instalments. In any case, German midfielder Vitaly Janelt is ready to come on in his place. To have confirmation first of all that Jensen will definitely be going off, but it looks like he will be. I think he's in a bit of trouble there as well. Certainly the expression on a footballer can sometimes tell an awful lot. He looks as worried as that. I think there's certainly no acting in that. Jensen is genuinely very concerned. It's Vitaly Janelt now on in his place for the remaining couple of minutes of this first half. First half which Brentford have never really threatened the Arsenal goal, but there's been plenty of work for the for the Brentford defenders, I should say. Not too much for the Brentford keeper, but certainly Raya having to make a save on a few occasions. So the ball now with Vitaly Janelt. Work quickly though, and now it's with Tierney to find Smith Rowe. It's now coming in from the right hand side. Odegaard. Well, because you can just see a line of yellow players there at the edge of the box. Brentford, wherever possible, do try and push up and play a high line, which of course does have its drawbacks, particularly if the defence doesn't quite get organised in terms of the offside line. We've seen that a few times from Brentford already this season, particularly with captain Pontus Jansson. Here is Bukayo Saka now as we're into the last 30 seconds of regulation time in this first half. Saka can't get away from Jensen and Ayer. It's out for a throw. Throw to Arsenal now down the left hand side. Kieran Tierney waiting to take it. To Smith Rowe, back to Tierney, his cross straight onto the head of Pontus Jansson, who heads this out, and it's going to be a throw on to Arsenal, just eluded that corner flag. Good news for the visitors, not so for Arsenal, but now still got a chance here with Kieran Tierney. Tierney looking for Xhaka, who heads it up in the air. Janssen then beats Alexandre Lacazette to the ball. Two efforts from Partey, both of them charged down, and the ball eventually cleared up towards the halfway line. We're into 4 minutes of injury time at the end of this first half. No surprise, we've had a couple of injuries, had a VAR stoppage or two, so perhaps it's no surprise that we've got all this added time at the end of the first half. But Saka now going back towards Partey. Partey then back towards this left-hand side. Gabriel finds Kieran Tierney. Smith Rowe now at the edge of the area. Good challenge though from Noorgaard. Played square towards Cedric, but even though we've still got 3 full minutes of added time in this first half, I think that certainly Arsenal could do with a few more ideas from Mikel Arteta. Brentford need to sort of reorganise and rethink how they're going to go about it in the second half. They can't do the same again, just be too risky. But here come the Gunners now with Saka. His cross is charged down, but Saka will chase after it and keep it in play. Smith Rowe now leaves it for Odegaard. You can see Xhaka pushing further and further forward. Arsenal are just making a few more risks now in terms of where they position their players. I think on the understanding that as it stands, don't have to worry too much about a Brentford attack. It's pass to Odegaard, intercepted there by Ethan Pinnock. Long clearance now down the middle, chased down by Brian Mbeumo, but easily Gabriel will get there first. Cross coming in now from the left-hand side, as Tierney got forward that way, but the ball is now cleared. And will this be a chance for Xhaka waiting for this ball. Arsenal keen to keep this tempo up in these last few moments of injury time. About a minute still to play here as the ball is thrown towards Xhaka, who then collides with De Silva, and De Silva trying to take this free kick quickly. So the Arsenal man was trying to stop that. It's effectively in the end, Brentford having to slow things down. There's a bit of pressing here now from Visser on Cedric, but really it's nothing that Brentford have done to upset how Newcastle have been defending. And have a look at the watch there from John Moss. We've still got a few seconds here to play though, and here come Arsenal with Saka. His ball into the penalty area, just gets away from Lacazette. It's now with Ben White, heads that forward towards the penalty area. Played back in now towards Cedric, who switches play over towards the left-hand side. Smith Rowe should be able to keep that in play, which he does. And Arsenal potentially with one more chance here before half-time to try and get this game in their favour. It's now with Odegaard down the right-hand side. Cedric goes on the overlap. Odegaard tries to cross in himself. The ball is headed away. And is Henry going to stop that from going out for a corner? I think he is. So it is going to be away for an Arsenal throw, and that is it for this first half. A first half which has been dominated by the home side. Arsenal seeing a lot more of the ball, not creating too many clear-cut chances, but certainly the attacking intent is in there. And Brentford really haven't been able to upset the Gunners in any form of attack whatsoever. I'll be back in 15 minutes for second half off-tube studio commentary.